At this point, I would like to recognize Mr. Grothman, the ranking member, for any concluding remarks that you might have, ranking member, just as a courtesy. I would yield you 5 minutes for any concluding remarks from the minority. Thank you.
Okay. I'm glad we had the hearing. I think it's important to stress the gravity of the situation and the degree to which past, I guess I call it nothing else but weakness, puts us in this situation. I think it's important, as I mentioned during my questioning, to talk about past relations between Russia and the Ukraine. I don't see a downside to it. And I think it's something everybody ought to be aware of, so that everybody in the world understands that there may be some natural animosity between the countries. Can I ask Mr. Grinnell one more question?
Of course, of course.
Okay. I would like to ask you your opinion of NATO expansion.
So I agree with Ambassador McFall that it's a difficult question, and it's something that's fraught with all sorts of issues. First of all, I would say that no one should be telling Ukraine that they cannot seek NATO membership. We've seen the Germans try to do that. We've seen the Biden administration suggest to the Ukrainians that they take that off the table, and certainly that would please the Russians. But no one should be telling a country, especially Ukraine, not to seek NATO membership. With that being said, I find it difficult to add NATO members at the present time when current NATO members are not paying their fair obligations. Why would we extend this defense umbrella to more nations when the current ones are not paying and being good members? I still am of the mindset that the Germans are undermining NATO like never before, and we need to call it out.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for your opinion. Maybe I should give one of the other witnesses a chance to respond to that as well. Maybe Ms. Kendall Taylor.
In terms of what our NATO expansion?
Yeah.
I mean, I just repeat, I think what Mike said is, like, it hasn't been a consistent story, that Russia has been more or less kind of sanguine about NATO expansion over the course of history. And it really is, again, these countries demand to join a defensive alliance. I think the other thing that we need to focus on, obviously NATO expansion is one issue, but this is really also a question about a country, Russia, using the threat of force or the use of force to change borders. And so that in and of itself, I think, is extremely important to push back against that principle alone.
I agree with you. I'll wrap up by mentioning that in our Pledge of Allegiance, we pledge allegiance to the Republic of the United States of America. And while there's some ambiguity as far as who said it upon writing the Constitution, I think Benjamin Franklin is usually quoted as saying, as we have a republic if you could keep it. I think it's important that important members of our foreign affairs establishment understand what form of government we have. And if you don't understand that, I don't think you really understand why America has become such a great country, and you don't understand what we should be encouraging other countries to become. Okay, again, I'd like to thank our chairman for convening this committee. It was certainly very interesting. And I'd like to thank all our guests for taking time out of their day and enlightening us.